kid, a lot of times we would drive, my grandparents lived in South Shores and we lived on the other side of town, and so we would take, Harbor Boulevard and we would pass Bloch Field, and my mom would always say, "Your youngest uncle, my youngest brother, almost died at Bloch Field," so she would tell us these stories. And so in 1957, my eldest uncle was 13, and my grandfather didn't want him to play at Parks and Rec. He wanted him to be in an independent organized baseball league, which we had none in San Pedro at the time. So he contacted the pony leagues and said, "Hey, if I get enough players together and I find a space for a field, will you sponsor a pony league in San Pedro?" And the league said, "Absolutely." So at the time, there was a lot on Gulch and Harbor, which is now Bloch Field, that was completely empty, and it was owned by the Harbor Department. So my grandfather, Art Paulson, contacted Harbor Department and said, "We want to put a ball field in here. It's sponsored by Pony League. It'll be organized Little League Baseball in San Pedro." Harbor Department agreed. Well, then the hard work started because you needed to level this field. You needed the lot. You need to level the lot. You need to bring in dirt for the infield. So my grandfather was bringing in dump trucks of dirt, laying the infield, digging the dugouts, putting the grass in. And they had dug the dugouts and the cinder blocks hadn't been put in yet. So it was still just a hole that was dirt. And so there was a storm. And my grandfather was, "Oh no, let's check the field. We had just put the grass in and the infield. Let's go check and see, make sure everything's okay." Well, of course it was flooded. And then of course with the dugouts, they were flooded as well. And so my uncle, who was 13 at the time, and my youngest uncle, who was about 1.5 years, 2 years old, all went down to the field with my grandfather. And my grandfather was surveying the damage, and my youngest uncle just walked into the dugout and started drowning. And my eldest uncle saw his little fingers sticking up, reached down, pulled him out of the dugout. So that's where that story came from, that my mom would tell me all the time. And then that led to other questions. Once my uncle was older, they started a Connie Mack league, because there wasn't a Connie Mack league in San Pedro, which the field was on 22nd Street. It was called Dillon Field. And this really just all came to fruition. And my grandfather just recently got recognized in 2018. He was actually put into the San Pedro Athletic Hall of Fame. And what's really cool about it is a lot of the players that got to play organized league in San Pedro nominated my grandfather, because they said they wouldn't have been able to play in those leagues had he not taken the initiative to build the organized league baseball in San Pedro. So